Happy Monday, everyone. Happy Monday. Alrighty, so we have been talking about the three selves of self-care, and the last two broadcasts has been on the importance of consulting the younger self in order to operate in the current self. And so we are going to be discussing today, okay, we've talked to our younger self. We've kind of gone down that journey as far as we can go. And now we need to decide what we're going to do. Are we going to actually climb that hill? If so, who's our lifeline? Who's going with us? Will it be a therapist? Will it be a life coach? Will it be our spouses? Who's our confidant on this journey? I'll be back in 2 minutes. Let's talk about it. Hello, hello, hello. It is My Mindy Monday. I am Omar Ali, your life coach, whether you know it or not. And we are discussing the three selves of self care. And today's question or topic is okay, I've kind of consulted my younger self. Now what? Do I see a therapist? Do I see a life coach? What do I do and how do I do it? Alrighty, so just to kind of do some housekeeping really quick, let me see who's in. I know sometimes it takes people a while to kind of get logged in. Hello, hello, Miss Keitel. I am wearing your gift. Thank you. So how has your week been? I know it's so hard to type at the same time and all of the wonderful things. Um, so just to do a recap for those who are just joining for the first time, we discussed the importance of self-care and how sometimes a lot of people don't know how to exercise self-care, how to put themselves first, how to begin to sketch out that time throughout the day. And one of the things that we came to realize is that a lot of time your current self has a hard time dealing with things because of things that the past self, the younger self, has experienced. Sometimes those things that we experience as our younger selves leave us with that worthless feeling or unworthy feeling, or that, everybody else is more important than myself. And so because of that, we kind of grow up constantly putting ourselves on the back burner, constantly putting everybody before us. Um, some of us who have a particular faith, we have been taught that humility and to put others first is a sign of godliness and holiness. And so a lot of times we negate ourselves. We forget about taking care of ourselves because it's considered righteous or holy. So we put everybody else first, and it's considered to be an act of humility or grace, gratefulness. And so that is what we were discussing, that sometimes the way we've come up, our upbringing, will factor in greatly on how we treat our current self. Not just how we treat others, but how we treat our current selves. And so there's a lot of people who are great at taking care of others. You have a lot of mothers. Parents are awesome at this. You can have the greatest mom, the greatest dad, but as far as how they care for themselves, they're left wanting. How they take care of themselves, what someone would say is just piss poor. It's just lacking any luster at all. There's no, you kind of see this sometimes. You'll see people who go out and their children look wonderful, and then you look at them and they look disheveled, they look tired, they're worn out, they're exhausted, because they are constantly putting everyone else before them. It's what they learned to do. I was watching a show not too long ago, and she was saying that she's seen what a great mother is, but she's never seen what a great wife is. Her mom was an excellent mother, but as far as being an excellent wife, she hadn't seen that before. And I would take that same statement as I was watching it. I thought about that. Like, a lot of us, our mothers were great. They took care of us. We saw the sacrifice. We saw the strength. We knew what a strong parental figure was, but we didn't really see mom or dad say, hey, I'm taking a self-care day. We didn't see them say, hey, I'm going away by myself for a couple of hours. Hey, don't come. And I remember I did see the attempt. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember my mom used to go into the bathroom. She closed the door and she'd be like, don't knock, don't come in. I don't care if you have to use the bathroom. This is my time. This is my space. And I was so, as a kid, you're like, what is she doing in there? I'm supposed to be involved in everything in her life, So I just had that memory, that I do recall my mom trying at least to use some kind of effort to have some kind of self-care. But that's not really what we see in our home. We don't see a lot of, okay, we're going to just have some quiet now. Everybody turn everything off. Let's just reflect. Let's just sit quietly for a moment. A lot of us grew up in chaotic households, or even if it wasn't chaotic, it was just always something going on, and so self-care may be something that you've just never seen, and yourself, never really experienced that until you got older. And right now in our current atmosphere, the current trending thing is self-care. It's about, hey, we realize that now through burnout, through people having breakdowns at work and shooting people on the freeway, we realize, hey, whoa, we need to stop and have some self-care. Okay, so let me go ahead, and I'm going to, that's the overview of what we have been discussing. And so I want to go and just see who's in our space today, in our safe space today. Awesome. Hi, Sylvia. How are you? How are you? Thank you so much for joining us, Miss Connie. Miss Jeanette, I love you too. Thank you so much. I'm always blessed when I see familiar faces in the room, but I'm also blessed when I see those who I have never seen before. And Sylvia's a talker. Yay! Awesome. I'm looking forward to some wonderful dialogue. Hey, Miss Simpson. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay. So I wanted to share today. Usually I, pull on you guys to get some of your story. And I still want you to, yes, please give me as much feedback is better. But I did want to share with you my journey. The last couple of weeks have been very, very interesting because I am an avid soul searcher. I'm constantly trying to make sure that there's no skeletons, and I just want to be the best version of myself, not to the point where I'm just like, but I do always try to make sure I'm okay, so that way I'm not spewing all of my not okay on everybody else around me. And the last couple of weeks have been quite interesting. There's been some things that I did not realize were still there. So there has been a lot of self-reflection that I had to do with my younger self. And I realized that I've only scratched the surface in certain areas. And it really was an eye opener. And it was a couple of aha moments. And that's what we were talking about. Sometimes I know a lot of times we're afraid to go back there because we've been taught, let the past be the past, let the dead bury the dead, leave it alone. It's over. Stop digging up old stuff. Stop. But sometimes it's important. It's important to know the things that we perhaps didn't know before. It's important to be able to see things from a different perspective. If you can go back and look at the past episodes, the past broadcasts, but I've said this before, that the younger version of ourselves understands it from that age. So we understand things from like 5 years old, 6 years old. This is what happened, and this is why it happened, and our understanding is so limited. But now at 47, going back and looking and saying, "What that?" Now that makes sense. That's why I do that. Sometimes it's simple things like, that's why I hit the light switch 3 times. Every time I leave a room, I got to hit it 3 times. It's not OCD. It's because my mom used to do it, or my grandmother used to do it. Sometimes you just get those aha moments like, girl, stop doing that. That's crazy. I know a lot of us know the story about the new wife who was arguing with the husband about making the meatloaf in the pan. He's like, you have to cut the edges off. Remember, I think it was a pot roast. You got to cut the edges off. And it was only until she was an adult and asking her mother, why, are you cutting the edges off? She says, the only pot I had. It was the only pan that she had, and the pot roast was too big. It's like, oh, so I'm losing extra meat for nothing. So it's these wonderful moments, it's these wonderful lessons that you can learn yourself when you feel strong enough or bold enough to go back and just say to the younger self, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's talk. Things are not right now. I don't know what's going on. It's good. And you'll be amazed what the younger self wants to tell you or reveal to you or share with you. And a lot of times it is those things that we push down. It is those things that hurt us deeply. Sometimes it is those dark family secrets, that people don't like to discuss. Sometimes it is those hurtful things. And I totally get it. I understand why a lot of us say, hey, let the dead bury the dead. I'm not going back there anymore. I'm just not. But I'm just one of those that's just like, hey, let's go. Let's dig it up. I want to find out. I want a DNA test. I want to find out what killed this person. What killed that part of me? I want to know. I want to know why I do what I do. I want to know why I'm not okay. I want to know why I keep picking the same kind of guys. I want to know why I'm afraid of the dark. I want to know why, these are these things that will they nag at me. They eat at me because I know that the Bible says that I am fully healed and that this is, I'm not supposed to still be having these isms and schisms, and it's supposed to be under the blood, and I'm supposed to be healed, and so you have these belief systems, and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, and it's like, why? You have the question, why are all these things happening? And I'm just one of those people that's like, well, let's go find out. I want to roll back the video footage. I want to go back. I want to find out. And sometimes it has. I have admitted this before. It has been painful. Sometimes rolling that rock away from that cave and going into the darkness and being like, whoa, that's why that big rock was there, But at the same time, I've been the better for it. So, hi guys. I'm sorry. We have some more people that just came in. Hello, Brother Leonard. Thank you so much for yesterday. And Karen, so glad to see you back, love. I am praying for you through this journey. Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, Mara. So I wanted to just look at some of these comments. So it says we need closure in some areas to move forward and reevaluate where we are in life. Absolutely. I wanted to comment on that. Sometimes we don't know why. It's like we feel like we're doing everything we can. We feel like we've put our hand to the plow. We've been working. We've been struggling. We've been hitting it. We've been grinding every day. And it's like these things are just not changing. And it is because there's a lot of open doors. You got your 5-year-old door open. You got your 10-year-old door open. Your 15, your 33-year-old door. You got all these doors of your life that's still open, and there's no closure. There's been no healing. There's been those. It is what it is. And you guys know I hate that saying. It is what it is, because that used to be my go-to, and I had to learn that was a hiding place. It is what it is. That's my way. That was my way of saying, I don't want to deal with it. It is what it is. That was my cop out, that I'm not going to work on it. I'm not going to allow myself to hope for anything more than what it is. I don't want to be let down again. So it is what it is. I'm going to leave it there and just let it be. But it doesn't stay there, does it? We talked about that. It never stays there. It always trickles into your now, trickles into your conversation, trickles into something that goes on. And the next thing you know, it's this big explosion. We forget about all the doors. Oh, this is so good, Sylvia. Thank you. We forget about all the doors that are open still in our lives, all the areas that haven't been healed, that we haven't had closure. We haven't allowed ourselves to forgive, or sometimes even allowed ourselves to be forgiven. So these little gaping spaces are still open, in our lives, and we're trying to figure out where we are now. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm whatever. I'm 55 now. Why am I still tripping? Like I'm in my 20s. I'm still making the same stupid mistakes that I made in my 20s. Why? Some of us. It was funny. I was having a conversation the other day with my husband, and I said, sometimes there's people who can look at their spouse now, and the spouse they're with right now is the same spouse they were with when they were in their early 20s, just a different name. And if you look back at your life going through that thing, every time it's the same. It's been the same guy, just a different name. Light skin, dark skin, white, Hispanic, Puerto Rican, whatever. But it's the same guy. It's the same guy, or it's the same girl, same woman, and just a different name. And if you were look at them right now, you like, you Johnny. 1994 Johnny. And it's because of those things. It's because of those doors that we didn't close. It's because of those areas that we didn't allow to heal. Those things that we just didn't deal with. And there's no shade. There's no, I'm not beating up on you about it, because we've all done it. But it's time. It's time to start kind of closing those doors, closing it, but not just closing it with all the junk in there. Because I'm telling you right now, and I've said this many times before, we weren't created to hold crap. When the Bible says that we are fearfully and wonderfully created, Imagine if you had a wonderful, beautiful vase, right? I mean, the finest crystal. I mean, it's beautiful. And somebody was like, I'm just going to use that vase to make some chitlins in it. Yeah, for those of you chitlins is pig intestines. So imagine somebody saying, I don't have anything else. I'm going to use your vase to make, to put my cooked chitlins in. You would be like, are you crazy? And exactly. So if that's the case, then don't close the door with all the crap in it, because it's going to seep out. It's going to stink. It's going to putrefy, and everybody's going to smell it, and it's going to be really, really bad. It's going to be all bad. And some of us are living that right now in our now. We're living that. We look wonderful. Outkast has this line in one of their songs that said, everybody knows that roses really smell like boo-boo. Because you can be beautiful on the outside, but the stench is real. The stench comes out of your mouth. The stench comes out of what we do. The stench comes out in how we think. The stench comes out in every area of our lives because we haven't dealt with it. It's in there. It's brewing. There's some things going on, and we don't understand it. So when Sylvia, when you say, yeah, we need to figure out what is going on in some areas so we can move forward, just to figure out where we are right now. And I'm thinking about, I think about the show, the song Bag Lady. I mean, so prophetic. I mean, seriously, I love that song by Erica Badu. How she said, Bag Lady, you're gonna miss your bus. All this other stuff is going on because you're dragging all this stuff with you. And that's us. A lot of us, we sang that song. We like the lyrics. It was like, oh, okay, and we think just because we're not with Joe Blow no more, we're not with old girl anymore, that's not us anymore. No, the bag wasn't emptied. Just because you left them, just because you closed the door, if you never cleaned out the room, now you're just a hoarder. And some of us are. We're just hoarding all that past stuff because we're afraid to deal with it, which brings me to my topic today. Okay, how do I deal with it? I realize now that there is way more than I am able to handle. You may be saying, hey, I thought I was okay. I realize now I'm definitely not okay. You may be saying, I've known for a while that I was not okay. I just didn't know what to do about it. So I've been suffering in silence. You may be that person that says, hey, I've tried to reach out for help and it just made things worse. You could be, that person that's saying, hey, the last time, I went to therapy, and when I went to therapy, she didn't care. He didn't know what I was talking about, spent most of the time typing. Hey, I've been there. Okay. I've had about 55,000 therapists before finding my niche, finding which one really, really connected with me. And I want to say it does take time. It takes time. Sometimes you may be able to go and you may be able to get that one hit wonder, that, hey, we connected. It was awesome. Thank you. I've been with her for years. But other times you may get that person that perhaps been in the game too long and they're not their best. They're not the best therapist anymore. Or people get into careers for all different reasons, and sometimes we are collateral damage. And so I know that a lot of people are like, I can't take that chance. It's hard enough for me to talk about it, let alone talk about it to someone who could care less, or that's not going to take my feelings or take my heart and treasure it and understand how it is, understand how deeply wounded I am. And it's hard to trust somebody, let alone a stranger, to be able to come in and say, this is my life story and spill all my guts out. So I want to talk about it. I would like for you now to go ahead, and if you have been thinking about, do I see a therapist? Should I see a therapist? If you have thought, even what's a life coach? Omar, what do you do? I don't know. But if you're at that point where you're like, okay, I know I have good insurance now. I know my insurance will pay for a therapist. I'm scared. I want to talk about it. I want to try to prepare you for it. I want to kind of answer some of those questions, kind of deal with those fears, so that you can be okay now. And again, it could be a therapist. It could be a life coach. It could be your spouse. It could be somebody that you trust. It could be somebody that has been through it already and are truly walking in their delivered lifestyle. Not meaning that they're perfect, because even your therapist, even myself, we're not perfect, but they're walking in that healing. And, I talked about before in another broadcast that I'm a high D. I'm very, very highly strung sometimes. And when I'm tired and I feel like I need to take a break, I'm not going to call my girlfriend, who's also high strung, and say, you think I should take a break? Because she's going to say, girl, no, you got to push through. You got to grind. This is that moment where you got to just put your, we'll rest when we die, because I say stuff like that sometimes. It is not the best thing to say, because it's not really promoting self-care, but I'll say that sometimes when I'm really, really in the zone and I'm working, and they're like, go to bed, I'll sleep later. I'll sleep when I die. I got it. I'm just going to finish this thing. So I get that. But when I really need a break, no, I'm going to call that person that I know executes self-care on a daily basis. That's the person I'm going to call. I'm going to call somebody who's higher than myself. I'm going to call somebody who is in a better place than myself. Not just a couple of steps, but they're up there. I can watch them. I've seen their life. I know that, okay, hey, yeah. Okay, so when I call them and say, I'm exhausted, I cannot get off the wheel. I'm just on this rat wheel. I can't get off because I see the goal in mind and I just keep working. That's who I'm going to call. That's going to say, you know what, sis? No, I'm scheduling you a spa day. You're taking tomorrow off. Figure your staffing out. That's who I'm going to call. So it's the same thing. If you're going through something and you're struggling or you need help in a certain area, there's people in your life. You may not know it. There may be people in your life that's not therapists, that aren't life coaches, that are just excellent problem solvers or excellent, whatever it is your area is that you're working on in your own life, that you can say, hey, I need a serious, serious moment of your time. If you don't have that in your circle, then you may need to use that insurance and go to a therapist. You may need to go to a life coach. I don't accept insurance. So you may need to, whatever it is, you need to reach out, because the past self is in your current self and you got to get ready to start moving to the forward self. So what I'm asking now is for you to just put in the comment section your fears. What is it that stops you from getting the help that you may see now that you need? What is it that may be concerning you about therapy? I know that as a believer, I used to think that, therapists were like the devil. Honestly, I'm not playing. Because they always wanted to push, psychiatrists want to give you medication. They want to mess up your head. They're messing your mind. They implant stuff, that was my fear, and I only went to therapy when my life became worse than the fear of the therapist. So you guys talk to me, give me some feedback. What is your fear? What is the concern? Even if it's not a fear, what have you heard about therapists? What have you heard about life coaches? I'd be very interested to hear that. What have you heard about us? that kind of makes you a little bit skeptical. Let me see. So on Facebook, Sylvia says sometimes therapists go so far back when you need to fix it right now. It can be frustrating. Yes, I totally get it. I totally get it. So let's just start here. I would like to just start here. The cost. Okay. Okay. So let me see. They're coming in. So let me just get some of these. Karen said the cost. Okay. Absolutely. It can be expensive as well. I totally get that as well. So let's talk about the cost. If you do have the insurance, most insurances will pay, even Medi-Cal will pay for therapy. It is considered a life necessity. So even if you have county Medi-Cal, they will pay for therapy. So most insurances should have some section in your insurance that will take care of the cost for therapy. Now, if you are not interested in a therapist and you were interested in seeing a life coach, that's where I can see that can be costly. And for something like that, I would say look around. Look around, see if you can find someone that's in your tax bracket that you can afford to go and see, or maybe you can only see them once a month, or until your financial situation changes. It can get costly, as a life coach. I know that for myself, there was times where I didn't have the insurance. And I just, honestly, real talk, I just had to save up for it. I really did. I had to kind of cut back on a lot of things because, again, my lifestyle dictated that I needed a therapist. It wasn't something that I was able to be like, oh, it would be nice to have no, it was complete shambles. It was complete disarray. So there was no yes or no. So, me and hubby got together. We said, hey, I'm going to cut back on this. I'm going to cut back on that. I do my own hair to this day because of budgets, that I did a long time ago. I just learned how to do different things. I had to just cut back some places because it was definitely necessary for myself. And I understand also I have help. It's not just me. It's me and my spouse. So that is double income. So I understand that as well. But there's always something. I know that there's different programs as well that you can dial. Most, especially in California, you can dial 211, and some of them have free counseling services. Catholic Charities has a free service. So for something like that, if it is cost that is concerning you, there is help. And if you are that person and you're watching on the replay, you're in with me now, and that's you, just inbox me and I will definitely try to shoot some resources to you to be able to get you that help, because it's imperative. It's imperative now for that healing. I know a lot of local churches even offer free counseling. They have people that's on their staff that will offer free counseling if that's what you need. So definitely don't let cost be the thing that stops you from getting help. Like I said, send me it in my inbox, or, my number is on there. Just contact me and let me know, and I will definitely try to connect you with something wherever it is that you're living. So let's see. We also have Sylvia, I'm going to save yours for last because that's going to take me into something else that I do want to discuss. Afraid to admit I need help. Oh God, been there. Been there. Yeah, because of the stigma, right? Um, and I don't know if that's how far you're going with it, but there's a stigma. There's a stigma that's attached to going to therapy. You're crazy, she's psychotic. One of the things that people always say, if people, oh, look at you, oh my God, they talk about the mental health and in such um, in such a way that it's like this negative thing. You look at the movies, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining, and you got all these things, but just where mental health was just really like crazy, and so it is this stigma, especially depending on culture. It's a deep rooted stigma that you do not go to therapy. No. I know that when I was growing up, therapy was for white people. White people have breakdowns. Black people do not have breakdowns. Why? We can't afford to have breakdowns, right? That was the thing. And it was this ongoing thing. I used to hear it all the time, that's a white person's thing. Oh, what? You're depressed. You're sad. Girl, please, your whole life is a depression. Get up and go to work. So it's this thing that you almost were not allowed to need therapy. You weren't in certain cultures, you better not say you need therapy. It was considered weakness. It was considered just really, really taboo. Like, you just don't do that. You don't go to therapy. But I can look outside my window. I can drive down the street and I can be in a room full of people and I can be like, therapy, need therapy, need therapy. Oh, they're okay. Need therapy. Most of America needs therapy, but we're so afraid to admit it. And so if that's you and you're saying, I just don't want to have to say I need therapy, you're in good company. Everybody needs it. I promise you. I put my head on a chopping block that if you go 1, 2, 3, every third person, you can ask them, they need therapy, because our culture, our society says, don't talk about things. Don't bring up things, especially if it's in the past. We don't talk about that. No, we don't. No, you cry to your pillow. Don't cry to me. But usually most of us can't even get a nice comfort system, a nice support system, because the people that we need to support us need therapy. So it's this cycle that's been going on in families for so long. Nobody can help nobody. So what they do is they say, don't talk about it. We're not going to go there. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that's in the past. And they get angry with you when you bring it up because it's so taboo. But what it really does is a lot of times when we speak on things that happen, it puts the other person in the remembrance of either what they did, what they didn't cover, what they didn't protect. And so now everybody's angry. And so the only lash out, the only way to back you up is to call you crazy. And now you're the person, well, she's seeing a therapist. My advice to you, if you are that person, is care about yourself more than you care about anything anybody else has to say about you. Because your well-being is the most important thing in this world. I am a Christian. I'm going to tell you that. You are the most important thing in this world, because if you're not okay, nothing you're trying to do is going to be okay. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first, mentally, physically, spiritually, so that you can do all of the other things that we believe we are called to do. Without health, there's nothing. You're helping no one. Okay? So if you know you need help, admit it. It's okay. You're okay. You're in good company. Trust me. Get the help that you need. Good company. See? Afraid of what people will think, right? What is my mom going to say? What is, when my husband still think I'm okay? Trust me, he already know you need therapy. He just waiting for you to figure it out. Most of the people in our life know we need therapy. They're waiting for us to say we're going to go to therapy. Some of people in our lives are going to throw a party. I promise you. And this is not, I'm not making fun of you or poking at you. I'm just telling you the truth. When I remember when I first went to a therapist and I told my closest friend, I said, I call a therapist today. She said, girl, thank God. Literally. I was like, really? Girl, because you be tripping. People who are close to us, they want the ones that matter will be happy for you. The ones that matter, the ones that love you, the ones that have your back, the ones that are in your corner, those are the ones that matter. The ones that's talking about you and laughing, most of that is a defense mechanism anyway. Because if I see someone doing something to better themselves, to better their life, and they believe it's going to work, I'm going to be right. Do you. Do what's going to help you to be the best you can be. But if you got people that's in your circle that you're worried about what they're going to say, then you might want to reevaluate your circle. Because everybody in your circle should be for you. And that's a topic for another time. So I'm not even going to go into that because I will get on the soapbox about that, about how important your circle is. But those who matter will support you. They will support you. So be encouraged with that. Don't worry about what other people say. And when people do start saying things, if you do hear it, look at the person who's saying it. You weigh the cost. You decide how much weight what they say, what it means. Okay? So let's see. Okay, so Connie said, just finding the right person. Oh my gosh, that's the only holdback. She got exclamation mark, exclamation. Right, it's the right person. Now this part is the difficult part of it. And I'm just going to give you real talk because I can't sugarcoat it. It may take time. And I know just hearing that is frustrating, but it may take some time. You got to think about it that you and your therapist, it's a relationship that you build with that person. Think of any relationship that you have that's worth anything in your life. It did not happen overnight. You didn't see each other and it just, sometimes you got those people that we just clicked and we've been friends ever since. But even that click, y'all didn't have disagreements. You had to question, do I really like you like that? It's a relationship. And so when you meet a therapist, you are still meeting, although they're trained and they're professional, you're still meeting a stranger. So you have to give it the same respect that you would give when you meet a stranger. You have to warm up to that person. That person has to get to know you as you're having these dialogues. There has to be a certain level of trust. When you met your spouse, when y'all was first dating, you didn't say, oh my God, when I was 17 years old, this and this happened to me. But you didn't trust fully when you went in. So now I'm telling you, I've had 1,000 of them probably. But it is a trial and error. And this is my advice. When you first pick your therapist, remember, you hired them. They did not hire you. You're paying them for a service. So they don't dictate to you what you're going to discuss, how you're going to discuss it. You do. I work for you. So when I have a client that hires me, I work for you. I don't tell you, okay, so this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. No, we're walking on this thing together. This is a together journey. So we have a whole conversation. What do you want to discuss? What do you want to work on right now? Okay, let's work on that. Now, of course, I'm going to have suggestions. Therapists have suggestions. They say, hey, I'm thinking that maybe, if they start going down that road about your childhood and you're not ready for it, you have the right to say, I don't want to go there right now. I don't trust you enough to go there right now. They have to respect it. And if they don't, thank you very much. Your insurance don't care. Thank you very much. You go home, you go back to the drawing board, you make another appointment. Nothing's been lost. Remember, you're always in control when you go and see a therapist. You decide how far, how deep you're going to go in your own timing. In your own timing. You don't let a therapist force you into a conversation or force you into something that you're not ready to go into. It's a relationship. It takes time. And as you begin to blend together and your therapist learns you learn your therapist, now there's this nice little fluid tango going, and now you feel comfortable. Now they know about you. If I go and I see my therapist or my life coach, if I go, they know about me. They're like, oh, how so and so? How did that speaking engagement go? Was it a hit? I don't have to remind them who I am or what happened, because we have a relationship and they're invested as I'm invested. But that takes time. It's not going to be the first time you go. And I know that when you go see a therapist, it's an urgency. You want release. You need what Sylvia called a fix it right now situation. You need this burden lifted. You're hyperventilating, you're having anxiety attacks, whatever it is. So when you go to a therapist, you're like, okay, I need you to fix it now. But I also want you to be fair. Even when you go to a doctor, they sometimes can't fix it right then and there. They'll say, okay, I'm going to need to get some blood tests. I'm going to need you to go to maybe some physical therapy. Okay, we may have to schedule a appointment for you to have surgery. It's not right now. So think of it in that way, that you're going to a doctor of the mind when you go and see a therapist. So when you go in, remember that it can't be right now. But I think what Sylvia is talking about is I don't need to know about when I was 7. I need to talk about right now while I'm 47. Let's fix this. And then if you want to go back there, we can go back there. But right now, let's fix this. Which brings me to the other part. Know what kind of therapist you're going to. Okay? Know what kind of therapist that you have gone to visit. Is it every therapist has different therapeutic approaches. Okay, so you might have some therapists who deal with trauma, and so their go-to is always going to be when you were a child, right? So you also have therapists who deal with positive reinforcement or solution focused. So that's probably what Sylvia, what you're describing. You probably need a therapist that is solution focused. So when you go in, they're like, okay, let's solve it. What's the problem? Here's the solution. Let's solve it together. That's a solution focused therapeutic approach. There's so many different approaches. So when you go to a therapist, you ask them, what is your therapeutic approach? What is your specialty? And that's kind of like their niche. It's where they come from. And so they're going to, everything's going to come from that. Me just being who I am. Think about it with people that you know. If you know somebody who's a lawyer, every time you're talking about something, they want justice. You know somebody who's a nurse, every time you talk about something, they're like, oh yeah, but in the bite, you're not eating right. That's why. See, if you just eat, you know somebody who's a physical trainer, whatever, you're stressed out, you need to go ahead and hit them bags, and then you'll be fine. Everybody comes from who they are. It's no different with therapists. Therapists have a certain little, space that they sit in. And that's where they're comfortable at. I have my own space that when you come to me, I also am solution focused. I'm also very trauma focus. So I like to dig, but I don't always have to dig, sometimes I can just be solution focused, so it just depends on the client. So when you go and see a therapist, make sure that um who it is that you're seeing. And you can do that. Even when my practitioner, I go and I read everything I can about my practitioner before I even meet them. And then I schedule an appointment with my practitioner just to meet them. Literally just to meet them. My practitioner I have right now is a holistic doctor because that's just my wheelhouse. And when I went to go and meet her, she was asking me, okay, well, what did you come to see me for today? I said, just to see you. And she kind of laughed. And I said, I just want to know who's taking care of my body. And I asked her questions. I literally just was like, okay, so, I noticed that on your bio, you said blah, 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 blah. How do you feel about medicine? She began to tell me, I believe food is medicine. And we just start vibing, we just start vibing. And I knew that she was a good pick. So remembering you're always in control. It's your life. You decide what goes on in your life. Even the people that you are paying, especially the people that you're paying. You're giving money to somebody to do what they want to do? No, I'm giving you money to do what I need you to do. So it's the same thing with therapy. So do a background check on your therapist before you see them. Ask the people when they say, oh, okay, we have this therapist available. What is his name? How do you spell that? It's his bio on your website. Then you go and you look him up. And they will tell you all of these things that I'm saying. And then you kind of go from there. Then you make an educated decision because your time is also valuable. This is your life. You don't have time to go therapist after therapist after therapist. What I'm telling you is what I learned because I did it already. Take my lessons. So I've done therapist. No, what? Huh? I literally have gotten up off and I don't recommend this, but I've literally walked out on a therapist like, no, because I knew this ain't working. But it's my life. I know what I'm really ready to take and what I'm not ready to take. Now, when you start blending with your therapist, you'll let them start pushing you a little further because you trust them now. You know they got you. You know that if they take you somewhere, they can bring you back. And so that's where Sylvia was saying, she said, don't bring up more pain when I'm already in pain. And sometimes, Sylvia, pain is growth. And sometimes that little extra pain allows us to see something that we couldn't see without it. But a good therapist or a good life coach will be able to kind of walk you through that journey. But also a good therapist or a good life coach won't take you somewhere that they can't bring you back. So it is scary. I know that. It's hard. It's hard when you are discussing things that pertain to people that you love. I put this one up because she said, sometimes you don't want to go because you're going to bring up family stuff. That's most of the trauma that most of us experience is family stuff because that's our first love. It's who's around us. It's who surrounds us the most, So your trauma may be from your mom, or your trauma may be from your dad, or your uncle, or your cousin, or your brother, or your sister. That's the scary part of therapy, is because the people who are put around us or in our lives are supposed to build us and to make us better sometimes end up tearing us down and and traumatizing us. So I can see that being scary. It's scary because it's your family. So it makes it very uncomfortable on 4th of July. It's going to be a very interesting Christmas this year, So it's, it reminds me of when, on Color Purple, and I am a movie buff. I know you guys probably have picked it up by now, movie and music, but on Color Purple, once she realized that he had been hiding all her sister's letters and they're at dinner, and it's not a regular dinner time, is it? Because, Silly couldn't hold it. Any more letters come? because that's what happens when you're around your family, and things start brewing in you, and then you start remembering things. You're like, nah, that wasn't cool. That wasn't cool what you did. That's not okay. And so then you have that moment where you feel like you have to confront. But a good therapist or life coach will walk you through that as well, of when you need to confront. Do you even need to confront? How do you confront? You don't always have to be like this. It ain't always got to be a showdown at the OK Corral. Sometimes it can just be a letter that you write, that you give, or you never give. Sometimes it can be, dialoguing with your therapist or with your life coach. Hey, let me be. I'll be the sounding board. I'll be mom. What would you have wanted to say to her? Say it to me. Even that in itself is so releasing. Even that in itself is so healing, because a lot of times we feel like we don't have a voice. Our voice was taken. We were young. We didn't understand what was happening. Things was going on. It was chaotic. It was just so much. So our voice was taken. And then when you're just allowed to just say it, to just say, without the judgment, that's the thing I love about therapy. I love that there's no judgment. You're able to actually say, no, I hate them. It's not right. I shouldn't, but I do. And it's a safe space for you to actually say it. Now let's heal from it. I don't want to hate them, but I do. I forgive them, but I still hate them. You can say the things that you wouldn't want to say to somebody who respects you, who reveres you, who you care about what they think. I honestly don't care about what my therapist thinks. I honestly don't, because I'm there. My purpose for being there is to be. I have clients. I'm like what is it, like a garbage disposal, because I see people, and people dump on me all the time. So sometimes I'm like, I can't breathe. It's a lot, And so I go to my therapist and I go, yeah, I get it off of me. And then my therapist has a therapist, and then she gets it off of her, and that's the way it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to carry it. I carry whatever I'm going through with my own family, my own life. I carry my client stuff. I carry people who I can be in the grocery store, and all I say is, hi, how's your day? And it's Waterworks, and I'm having a whole section in the middle, trying to grab some Fruit Loops. And so it's necessary. We have to have something to throw it back up. We have to have something to get it off of us. You have to have somebody in your life. I have wonderful people around me that God has given me that I call and say, hey, today I need to go to the movies. I need a coffee break. I need a salon break. And I thank God for that. And so if you are looking to go to a therapist or a life coach, check them out. Okay. Any questions? Oh, okay. So on Instagram, Marlon said that he needs a therapist with multiple specialties, and they have those. And there's nothing that says, and I'm glad that you said that, Marlon, you can have more than one therapist. You can have a therapist that deals with all these other things, and then you can have a specialist that deals with your trauma. And you don't have to only have one therapist. They recommend that you don't have a lot of therapists, because then it can become conflicting, because one's telling you one thing, and you're working on too many things at one time, and then you just implode. So you want to be careful of that. But you let your therapist know, I would like to also see a specialist, and they can guide you through that. I know I have a client now who has a therapist and me. I deal with other stuff. The therapist deal with her part, because every therapist don't work on the same things. That's why when you call your insurance company, they try to match you with somebody who has what you need, because all therapists don't deal with all things. Okay. Thank you guys for such dialogue. So let's see. Sylvia said, check them out first. didn't think about the fact that there are different types of therapists to fit my situation and that I can decide if it's a good fit. Yes, you are so welcome. You are so, so welcome. A lot of times we go into therapy waiting for them to take the lead. But you take the lead. You say, hey, this is what I want to work on. And and this is, what I'm prepared to do right now. I do have, and you can say I have trust. It ain't gotta be trust issues, but just say I have trust issues right now, and I'm hoping that we can build trust and along the way be able to kind of build up to some more deeper things. Right now, I just want to discuss my job. I don't want to go postal. It's a lot going on right now. Let's deal with that. And they should be able to comply. And if they cannot, thank you for your time, ma'am or sir. And I don't think this is going to be a good fit. And I've said that. And they get it. They get it. They're like, not a problem. Maybe I could recommend, or maybe, they have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. If I have a consultation with someone and we just don't, I have no problem with that. Tell me, don't keep coming, because now I'm wasting your time. I'm not benefiting you. I'm not helping you. And if I'm not helping you, then I'm almost potentially, there's a space in there where I can probably make it worse because I'm not helping. So say that and say, hey, Mara, you're great on my Monday, but individually, just not for me. Not a problem. Maybe I could recommend somebody else. And I have no problem with that. Okay. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you have been thinking about going to a therapist, if I've kind of stirred up enough stuff in you that the past is talking and you probably got some things going on right now, I didn't want to just keep going down this road of the younger self, because I know what I was experiencing the last couple of weeks because as I talk, as I teach, I'm also being taught too, so when you bring things up, that's a flashlight on me too, flashlight in my soul. That's like, hey, and I'm constantly like a dork screaming, all y'all come free. I want everything to come out, So, I thought about it and I said, hey, everybody may not have the support system that I've built. And that's another thing. And maybe we'll talk about that next week. Building a support system. I've built my support system. I don't have friends, people that's in my inner circle. Everybody's not in my inner circle. I have tons and tons of associates. Everybody's not in my inner circle because I am fragile. And what I mean by that is that everything about me is important. My heart's important. My mind is important. My spirit and my soul, my body is important. So I don't just let everybody in here. And if you are in here, know that you're very, very special to me, because I have when I'm talking to people, when I first start meeting them, I'm like, I'm swear it's like the Matrix. It's like all kind of like stuff going on while I'm talking, and while I'm like, because you have to be that way. You have to build your life, not just live it. Build it, carefully picking each brick and putting the bricks where they need to go. Carefully. Okay? So same thing with your mental health. You pick what's going to go in your mind, what's going on. When you pick me, I consider it, I'm privileged because you're allowing me to speak into you. And so I don't take it lightly that I'm able to say something and that you're able to take it. And that when you leave my Monday Mondays, you're leaving with my words in your head. That's not to be taken lightly. So don't allow people in your life and giving them that pass to speak craziness into your life, to you're fragile. This is your thing that God gave you responsibility to build, to protect, and to live fully. So hopefully this information was helpful. If we need to go more into it, if we need to do a little bit, you guys have more questions about it, I'm more than willing. We can finish it up next week. Now, hopefully, next week, we will be able to move forward into the current self. And we'll be discussing that where you are now. So Sylvia, I hope you come back next week because we are going to be talking about the right now, the fix it right now part. So where we are now. Again, and I'm just kind of dropping these nuggets that I will be in July doing small groups. It's not, again, the small groups are not free like my Monday Mondays. It will be for a charge, but I will be doing small groups where we will have different themes. It's going to be on the last Monday of every month starting in July. So look for that list of the themes by the month. I hopefully will have that out by the end of this month. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be so exciting. It will be a first come, first serve basis. Again, I want a small group so that we can kind of get into it. It will be a live webinar. We'll have a dialogue. I'll be talking, you'll be talking, we'll all be talking. And I'm hoping that it will be a similar safe place. Like that's my main thing, is to always build a safe place. So look for that. Again, it'll be the last Monday starting in July of every month. A different theme every month, small group. And so look for more information about that. Hopefully I'll have everything set up and ready to go by the end of this month so that you can prepare for it. All right. If there aren't any other questions, then I am going to let you go. I promise you an hour and I'm already 6 minutes over. So I will be back here next Monday doing it again. Hopefully giving you ammunition for the rest of your week and making Monday your favorite day of the week. All right. I will see you guys next Monday.